Here are 17 reasons that you should try the Drawsteel VTT. And if you have tried the VTT, I'm willing to bet that you don't know about everything in this video because one of these features literally came out as I was sitting down to record. There are so many cool things packed into this VTT, like global search where you can easily find almost anything, monster AI that can fully run a combat for you if you want, automatic fall damage and breakable walls, and so many more things that I'm very excited to show you. Thank you so much to MCDM for sponsoring this video. This is not a review, but it is a deep dive showcase into everything the Drawsteel VTT can do. Well, probably not everything because the speed that they're releasing features at is incredible. It feels like there's something really cool in every weekly update, and it's not showing signs of slowing down. Welcome to the table. I'm Kelly, and today we're going deep into the features of the Drawsteel VTT. Deeper, deeper, all the way into the
Bandit Core.
Okay, let's get into it. When I think of a VTT, I think of running combat, and the Drawsteel VTT is great for running combat. Really great, and we'll get into that. But it's also great for running all the stuff outside of combat. One of my favorite features of the Drawsteel TTRPG is the negotiation mechanic. As soon as I read it in the books, I was in love. And honestly, I'll probably run negotiations like that in every TTRPG I run, so I was absolutely thrilled to see it included in the VTT. At any time, you can select a token on the map and start a negotiation. You can add the monster's motivations and pitfalls and track their patience and interest. You can either choose to reveal the screen to your players, or you can just run the negotiations through dialogue but track everything on your end. Downtime projects are another element of Drawsteel that I think are really cool. It incentivizes your players to have long-term goals, and it's a mechanical way for those goals to have real, tangible effects on the game world. But because they are long-term, tracking them can be difficult. And if you as the director want to keep an eye on their progress, you need to either track them yourself or constantly be asking your players where they're at.
Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands? Have you finished those errands?
In the VTT, if any player adds a downtime project to their character sheet, it'll show in the downtime projects panel for the director. The director can pause or enable rolling and grant rolls whenever it's appropriate. If a player completes a crafting downtime project, that item automatically gets added to their inventory, which is super cool. Before we look at the elevation editor, monster AI, and all the other cool combat features, there's one last non-combat feature I think they've done an excellent job with, and that's the montage. Montage tests live inside documents, which we'll go through later. If you open a montage test document, you'll be able to set your player's view from the map view to the scene view, and then present the montage test document to them. Within the document, you can choose what gets revealed to your players. To run the montage, add your players into the available players box. Then one at a time, you can drag them into the current player box and then click the test. This will request a roll from the player. They can roll, and then you can track the successes and failures using the trackers. Once a player has rolled, drag them to the acted players box. At the end of the round, just drag them all back to the available box and start the next round. If at this point you're thinking, negotiations, downtime projects, montage tests, I don't know what any of that means. Don't you worry, sweet child of mine. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Sweet love of mine. Because the Drawsteel VTT includes a starter set that teaches you how to play. The Delian Tomb is included in the VTT as a fully built out module with automations that are ready to go, including the pre-gen characters, the monsters, the maps, the NPCs, and the loot. I think you could run this module with pretty much zero prep because it teaches you how to play as you play through it. It also gives you the option to automatically limit your players' options in the beginning to make it easier for them to learn the system as well. There are also other modules that you can download for free, like the Road to Broadhurst adventure or the Fall of Blackbottom adventure. And there are third-party modules too. And unlike other VTTs, it's all included in the initial purchase price. You don't have to buy the VTT and then buy the books from a digital marketplace. Buying the VTT includes all the Drawsteel content, and not just in the usual way. Obviously, it includes the class options in the character builder, and the monsters in the bestiary with animations and automations already set up, and magic items with automations already set up as well. But it also includes a PDF viewer inside the VTT where you can read the actual source books and the Delian Tomb adventure. The new classes from the most recent crowdfunding campaign have also already been added to the VTT for no extra cost. That means for $20, while it's still in early access, you get everything you need to play Draw Steel, which I personally think is a very good deal. For certain other games, you might be buying the VTT and then spending up to $90 more on additional digital books. MCDM has told me that it'll most likely stay in early access for the rest of this year. Everyone who wants to use the VTT does need a copy though, but if your group is just trying it out, or someone in the group doesn't want to invest in the VTT, they've added a feature that makes it really easy to screen share a player view of the VTT, so the director can screen share the VTT and the players can use the free Forge Steel web app to manage their character sheet. So that means, theoretically, a whole group could use a single $20 license. I'll show you how to do that a bit later. What I want to show you right now are the dynamic documents, because these are the foundation of all the modules and the thing the director will use the most when running a game. Both players and directors have a journal tab. You can add documents to the journal. In the documents, you can add text and images, but you can also add interactive elements. You can add widgets to these documents to do so many different things. You can really go wild with creating automations if you want. The one you'll probably use the most is the encounter widget. Here you can add monsters to an encounter and even balance it for different numbers of players, and then add a button that'll spawn all the monsters on the map. But like I mentioned, you can take it really far. Like this example from the Delian Tomb. This button opens a secret passage on the map, plays a stone grinding sound, and applies a screen shake effect. You can also add blocks that you can show or hide from your players. You can add any settings in the document, like volume controls or lighting controls. You can add scene elements, timers, counters, bars, and so many other things. The document system is extremely modular, and it's really worth reading up on all the macros and everything else you can do with it. Essentially, it gives you the tools to make your own game modules.
Built it myself.
But wouldn't it be cool if you could export those modules and share them, like community-made adventures and modules? Well, that's exactly what you can do. If you create your own adventure module or cool encounter or interactive map, you can create a module and export it. You can choose what should be included, and then it'll output a module. Anyone can then take that module and import it into their VTT. That's so cool. I'm very excited to see the community get creative with this feature and make all sorts of interactive adventures. And speaking of interactive, there's a great interactive feature on YouTube called the subscribe button. If you're enjoying the video, hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. There are also lots of tools in the VTT for making things interactive, especially the maps. There's a full built-in map maker. You can use it to make your own maps or augment imported maps. There's also a whole section of pre-made objects that you can drop into any map. The map editor is cool, but what's definitely more unique is the elevation editor. The elevation editor allows you to add elevation to any map. This adds a 2.5D parallax effect that looks really cool. But it's not just for looks. It'll also automatically calculate damage if a token gets thrown from a height, and it'll use a token's climb speed when moving up steep inclines. To add elevation, you can use the different shape tools, the polygon tool, or the brushes. I find it really easy to quickly add some elevation to a map, or if you want to, you can go in and get really precise with the gradients and everything. There's also a setting where you can adjust how strong the parallax effect is. So if you want the mechanical effect, but you don't want the visual effect, you can do that too. Along with adding elevation to maps, you can also create multi-level maps with automatic teleportations. This means your players can walk up to some stairs or a ladder and then automatically be taken to the next map. But that's just the tip of the map automation iceberg. You can create all kinds of interactable objects like traps that set off animations and prompt a test, and so much more. You can add macros to objects to make them do pretty much anything. One of the coolest things I've seen that you can make is destructible walls. Forced movement is a big part of Draw Steel. Lots of class features and monster abilities include the ability to push or throw people. It's awesome that when you throw an enemy against a wall, it automatically calculates the damage, but what's even cooler is that you can set up destructible walls so you can actually throw an enemy through a wall. That's the ultimate action hero move. Not only is it going to look cool when you throw that bugbear through a wall, but it's also going to sound cool. That's because every token in the Draw Steel Codex comes fully automated with sound effects. When you move, you'll hear footsteps. When you attack or cast spells, you'll hear sounds for that. And when you throw an enemy off a ledge, you'll hear a satisfying sound for that too. You can create your own automations from their existing sound and music library, or you can add your own. Speaking of music, there's also an audio panel where you can create your own soundboard. There are some included atmospheric music tracks, as well as a bunch of soundscapes and sound effects if you want to play things manually. The soundboard has different pages, so you can arrange things into different scenes, locations, or however you want. So far, everything I've talked about has been pretty director or GM focused. But don't worry, there are lots of features that'll make your players' lives easier too. Starting right at the beginning with a character builder. You can either import a character from the Forge Steel web tool, or you can build a character directly in the VTT. If you go to the Builder tab, the VTT walks you through character creation step by step. The squares under each step tell you how many choices you have to make at each step. So once all the squares are filled in, you can move on to the next step. Once you've built a character, it'll help you manage every aspect of that character, including automatically giving you your heroic resource at the start of your turn, tracking any conditions or effects, tracking your victories, and tracking your inventory and any special abilities that your items may give you. All the items up to Echelon 1 are in the VTT already, but they're constantly adding more content, so I'm sure very soon all the items from the books will be in there with icons and full automations. So that means if you put them into your equipped treasures slot, it'll show up in your actions and apply the correct effects. If it's an item that they haven't done automations for yet, or if it's a homebrew item, you can create a custom ability. You can either start from a blank ability, or you can start from an existing ability and customize it further. That's super useful, but I think the single most useful feature in the whole VTT is one that works for both the players and the directors. For both players and directors, the Draw Steel VTT will prompt you if you can do something, and then you can choose whether or not you want to do it. This is so helpful. In Draw Steel, the director is often managing a lot of different monsters. Having lots of different monsters on the battlefield is tactically interesting and it makes for really cool battles. But if 4 of your monsters have trigger abilities, it can be overwhelming to keep track of everything. So now you don't have to. If a character or a monster has the option to do a triggered action, a little symbol will appear on their token. Clicking on it will bring up the action, and then you can choose whether or not to use it. This is also super helpful for players because there are lots of character abilities that trigger off other characters' actions, not just monster actions. And if you fail a crucial ability roll and Brandon forgets he has the again triggered action that could let you re-roll it, you might be pretty choked. The ability alerts is definitely the feature I'll use the most, but this next one is the feature that I think is the most unique. As far as I know, no other VTT has this. You can download a module called Monster AI, open the Monster AI panel, click Start, and the VTT will run an entire combat for you. That's pretty wild. And before anyone jumps in the comments, it's not AI like ChatGPT AI, it's video game AI, or in other words, a decision tree. In the Monster AI panel, you can select which abilities the monsters will use to help scale the difficulty. For example, turning off flanking means they won't use flanking positions, which can be quite powerful if your players aren't also using flanking. And if you really want to get into the weeds, you can edit the code for each of the tactics and change their priorities. Or you can even create your own tactics for homebrew monsters. Right now, Monster AI is only compatible with monsters that are in part 1 of the Delian Tomb adventure, but they'll keep adding more. I'm really interested to see where they'll take this feature, because I think it has a lot of potential. In its current form, it just moves the monsters and does everything for you without any input. But I'd love to see a version where it tells you what it's going to do, and then you can choose whether to do that or something else. This next feature is almost as unique as Monster AI, but arguably more useful. I was sitting down to record this video and I opened YouTube and a new video popped up from the developers showing this feature, so it literally just came out. They're developing this VTT at a truly incredible pace, and it feels like there's something new every week. Monster leveling is such a great feature in Draw Steel. There are so many times in D&D that I would love to use a higher level monster for a lower level party, or vice versa, but there aren't any official rules for adjusting monster difficulty. In Draw Steel, they give you precise steps for how to adjust monsters for different levels. They also give you guidance on how to make a monster a solo monster, basically turning any monster into a cool boss. What's better than that? Well, how about having it done for you with just a couple clicks? Imagine your session takes an unexpected unexpected turn and your players wander down some dark tunnel you didn't plan. Wouldn't it be great if there was some powerful beast hiding there? This feature opens up so many more options for what that beast could be. Just scroll through, pick something that looks cool, adjust the level, make it solo, boom, you're done. It also means you'll be able to get so much more mileage out of what's already included in the VTT. You can adjust a monster's level, reflavor it with description, and now you've got a whole new monster. Speaking of getting more mileage out of the VTT, this is a twist I did not expect. The Draw Steel VTT has so many cool features, but maybe you don't always want to play Draw Steel. Maybe you want to play other TTRPGs, like MCDM's new TTRPG Crows, but you still want all the VTT features you're used to. Well, the developers have introduced game-type modules, and they've already developed a Crows module. So you can go to the Modules tab right now and download the playtest version of the Crows TTRPG and play it within the Draw Steel Codex VTT. But it also opens the door for the community to make a game-type module for any TTRPG, which is very cool. Before we move on, I have a bit of a confession to make. There are technically 17 features in this video, but I'm a cheeky little guy, and the last feature is actually 8 little features packed into one. But they're all so cool, I just had to include them. Sorry.
You suck.
But first, the campaign tracker is a little panel that does exactly that. You can use it to track basically anything. You can add notes to it, and then you can choose whether the players can see them or not. It also fully supports the document markdown syntax from the journal, so you can add interactive elements here as well, like a counter for example, or links to rules or stat blocks. It's a really convenient way to have quick access to things you use every session, or things that are relevant to the current session, but you don't want to open up a whole new document for. The other thing they've added to help quickly access anything is global search. Global search is so useful, and it truly is global. It searches everything. There's a search bar up in the top of the main window, and you can search for rules, you can search for your own notes, you can even just search for an ability and it'll show you all the monsters with that ability. Also, if you have a bunch of tokens on a map, you can search for a token and it'll show you where it is on the map. If you want to run a montage, just search montage and it'll bring up the template. If you want to search for a monster that has a fire ability, just search fire and you can place the Hobgoblin Incendiary on the map right from the search. It's one of those features that once you have it, you can't go back. Just like these. By themselves, these features are small, but together, they are a bunch of small features together. But they do really add to the whole experience of using this VTT. It really feels like the developers actually use the VTT themselves and have taken all their irritations with other software and tried to solve them here. The biggest of these little features is more of a design philosophy than a feature. The VTT shows you what you can and can't do according to the rules of Draw Steel, but it doesn't enforce the rules. It'll show you how far you can move on a turn, but if you want to move farther, you can. This is awesome because it's a firm reminder that you're playing a TTRPG, not a video game.
You got skills.
If there's a cool story reason that your character should be able to muster superhuman strength for a few seconds to dash across the battlefield beyond their normal speed to save their long-lost sister, then you can do it. The VTT won't stop you. And you know what else the VTT won't stop you from doing? Changing the UI. Man, this VTT really is a pushover. The UI is made up of panels, and all the panels can be dragged around, rearranged, resized, and reordered. There are also themes, so you can really make it look however you want. There are some included themes, or you can make your own. All right, let's talk about how you can use one copy of the VTT for your whole group if you're just trying it out, or if anyone in your group is on the fence about buying it. You can just open a player view of the VTT from the menu and then screen share that window. That way you can keep all your notes and stat blocks in the director view, but the players can still see the map and everything that's going on. Then you can just move the tokens around from your director view. That way some people in the group can use the free Forge Steel web app or a paper character sheet, while others can use the VTT. But they're probably going to want to buy their own copy of the VTT so they can use the whiteboard feature. Everyone else is going to be drawing dicks on the map and they're going to feel really left out. Jokes aside, it is actually really useful for pointing things out or quickly making modifications to a map. It's not quite as useful as the chat though. Normally I wouldn't use a chat function in a VTT because we're always at least on voice chat, if not video as well. But this chat also serves as a terminal. You can enter macro commands into the chat. For example, if you're narrating a rumbling coming from deeper in the dungeon, just enter the screen shake command and everyone will see a screen shake animation. Have you ever made a mistake? I haven't, but I've heard it's unpleasant. Luckily, there is undo and redo in this VTT. If you move something by accident or apply some damage to the wrong creature, just hit undo and it'll undo it. It's nice to have the option. Just like it's nice to have the option to use third-party or homebrew content. But normally, it can be really annoying to get that content into a VTT. Normally, you're stuck filling out a bunch of tiny boxes, which can make importing a bunch of monsters really tedious.
For each one, I have to fill out 200 little box thingies on 50 different screens.
But the devs have tried to make it as easy as possible by giving you a bunch of different options. You can import monsters through text, through JSON files, or from exports from someone else's Drawsteel VTT. It really feels like they're trying to make it as easy as possible to get content into it from anywhere, which is awesome. If you want to grab the VTT, I've linked it down below. If you want to learn more about some really cool features of the Drawsteel TTRPG, like how negotiations and montages work, check out this video here. I appreciate you.